Have you ever wondered why some things stubbornly refuse to happen, no matter how much you desire them? Perhaps the answer is not that you are being denied, but that you are simply not ready, yet life has a mysterious way of slowing us down, or even stopping us altogether, not to punish us, but to prepare us. It may be that everything you are meant to experience is already waiting, patiently, for you to become a deeper, wiser version of yourself. As Carl Jung said, the universe never brings you what you are not ready for. In this video, we explore Jung's belief that the universe does not hold back out of cruelty, but out of divine timing, offering nothing before your soul can truly hold it. Most people search for meaning outside of themselves. They interpret life by looking outward to situations they live through, people they encounter, pleasure and pain arriving from the external world. Yet, according to Carl Gustav Jung, the true journey does not unfold outside, but within. A soul that has not confronted itself can neither fully understand life nor consciously grasp what is truly happening to it. That confrontation is not easy, to meet one's own shadow, the parts we suppress, the truths we refuse to see, is to feel as though we have been plunged into our darkest room. But Jung reminded us, if we refuse to enter that darkness, we can never fully understand the meaning of light. Only by recognizing what lives in the dark corners of our psyche can we truly receive the illumination we long for. And that is why the universe waits, not to withhold, but to deliver precisely what you are capable of embodying once you have met your own depths. Carl Jung described the shadow as the hidden side of the human psyche, the darker aspects we each carry within us, yet struggle to accept: suppressed anger, jealousy, fears, desires, even weaknesses we secretly despise. Everything that does not fit the mold of the good person society expects us to be gets exiled into the unconscious. But Jung warns that the shadow does not disappear. In fact, it grows in silence and begins to influence us from within, shaping our choices, leaking into our reactions, and surfacing dramatically in the most critical moments of our lives. The universe, he believed, brings us precisely the people, events, and crises that will drag these suppressed fragments into the light. And if we are not ready when this confrontation arrives, it can feel brutal, because facing the shadow means facing the truth we have spent years avoiding. That is why the universe pushes us only at the moment our soul is strong enough to endure it. A person who meets themselves truly is someone who dares to see their own truth, for often we are strangers to ourselves, moving through life unaware of what we feel, what we fear, why we hurt, or what we truly desire. To awaken, then, is not merely to seek the light, but to find the courage to recognize the darkness through which that light becomes meaningful. According to Carl Jung, a lack of self-awareness places life on autopilot. A person who does not know they're in a world is doomed to live out the scripts of others. Someone who has not met their shadow perceives every criticism as a personal attack and every rejection as destruction, because they have not yet formed a genuine connection with themselves. The universe does not offer a chance for transformation to a soul that refuses to face its own truth. To confront oneself means to speak honestly about the past, the fractures of childhood, the suppressed emotions, and the desires we have hidden even from our own hearts. This process can be painful because it involves reuniting with memories we tried to forget and seeing truths we were not yet ready to hold. But this is precisely where the universe steps in. It brings you events that challenge you, shake you, even tear you apart. Not to break you, but because now you are strong enough to face what is real. The universe's timing is mysterious, but never accidental. No matter how painful, what comes is meant to grow you. This is what Jung called individuation, the sacred process of shedding external identity and beginning the inner journey. Through this awakening, you begin to truly understand who you what you have lived through, and why. You no longer attract the same people, You no longer repeat the same mistakes because the lesson has been integrated, you have changed, and in changing, you now vibrate on an entirely different frequency. That is why the universe starts offering you a different experience, because now you are aligned with something greater, and what no longer matches your new consciousness can no longer reach. The eyes of a person who has faced themselves look different. Their voice grows calmer, their heart more understanding, because they have learned to hear not only the noise of the external world, but also the quiet wisdom of the universe within. The intellectual system Carl Jung developed many years ago continues to guide millions today because it begins with a timeless truth: everything starts with the individual. And we must remember, the universe only opens its doors to those who are truly ready. Life often remains silent. We ask questions, make wishes, send prayers into the unseen, but all we hear back is a deep, echoing quiet. That silence sometimes turns into despair, sometimes into anger, and sometimes into quiet resentment. We ask, why is this not happening? What am I missing? What do I not understand? Jung believed the problem is not where we are looking, but when, for life responds not to our wishes, but to our level of readiness. A soul becomes truly ready not by longing, but by transforming itself, purifying its energy, sharpening its thinking, building emotional stamina, and unwinding unconscious patterns. To be ready is not simply to want. Many people want, many dream, but most are not prepared to carry the weight of their desires, face their consequences, and endure what they demand. Jung insisted that a person's inner reality shapes the events of their outer world. In other words, the life we see around us is only a mirror of the spiritual world within. The more honest you are with yourself, the clearer life's answers become. But if your inner world is chaotic, the outer world will reflect that confusion. If you carry resentment, you will continually meet people who hurt you. If you feel worthless, you will encounter events that reinforce that belief. Because the universe is a teacher, repeating the same lesson until it is finally learned. And once learned, that test never appears again. This is why, if you find certain patterns repeating for years, the place to search is not outside, but within. The answer is always hiding in you. Readiness also means surrender, entering that quiet state of acceptance where you stop trying to control and start trusting the flow. This surrender is not weakness. It is profound strength, because you are no longer fighting life. You have reconciled with yourself and no longer need to fix the world outside. You have changed, and therefore the world begins to change. The people you meet will be different, and your experiences will become meaningful. One day you will look back and say, I am grateful it did not happen then, because now, finally, I am truly ready. Life offers you its true gifts only when you are ready, not a moment sooner, not a moment later, but precisely at the right time. This threshold is one of the most essential stages in Jung's process of individuation. When the soul reaches its own maturity, life itself rises to meet it on a new level. You are no longer a victim, nor someone who waits, protests, or complains, but a being who lives, understands, and accepts. You stop fighting life and instead become a traveler, moving in harmony with it, and from that moment on, every experience becomes meaningful, because you now recognize what you are being put through and why, what it is preparing you for, and what you truly deserve. As you become clearer, life too becomes clear, and that is when it finally begins to respond. Remember, life takes you very seriously. It will never place anything in your hands until you are truly ready. This is not a punishment, but rather a sign of deep love, because life will never give you what will destroy you, overwhelm you, or leave you in darkness. It waits patiently, lovingly, quietly, until you are fully prepared. When at last you turn inward and accept yourself, life opens like a door, because the universe responds not to longing, but to silent in a ripening. As Jung said, he who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens. Life always answers an awakening soul, breaking points, those moments of greatest pain, loss, separation, collapse, disappointment are often the beginning of this awakening. In those moments, we feel our world has shattered and we cry, "Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this?" But Jung teaches that spiritual awakening often begins right there, because human beings change not when they feel safe, but when they are shaken. That trembling inside us breaks apart the old identity. Pain is not merely a result, it is a universal summons, like a hand reaching to pull you away from where you are and carry you to where you are meant to be. The purpose of pain is not to punish, but to awaken. This process is like waking from a deep sleep. At first, your vision is blurred, your body heavy, and nothing around you fully makes sense. But slowly your eyes begin to open, your awareness sharpens, and you start to see, you begin to notice the messages hidden behind life's events, the repeating cycles, the old belief patterns you have carried for years that are no longer compatible with who you are becoming. This is why crises are so sacred, because they leave you alone with yourself. When the noise of the world finally falls silent, you are confronted with the truth inside. In that silence comes the realization that what hurts you most is not what others do, but the truths you refuse to tell yourself. At that moment, pain stops being a curse and transforms into a gift. Jung believed that every crisis is a kind of spiritual labor, like birth, chaotic, painful, uncertain. But in the end, something new is born. Pain does not come to destroy you, but to leave behind an old version of you as your soul grows. The patterns that no longer serve you begin to crack. Emotions you suppressed for years rise to the surface. Vulnerabilities you buried in order to appear strong suddenly surround you. But according to Jung, this is not weakness, it is your soul remembering itself. The person who can remain within their pain without drowning in it takes a step closer to their essence. That is why the greatest crises are often the threshold to the greatest awakenings. Life does not give you certain things easily, because what truly matters demands effort, maturity, awareness. Sometimes, no matter how deeply you desire something, life holds it back, not to punish you, but because powerful desires can burn you when you are not yet strong enough, and some people can consume you before your inner core has formed. Some opportunities can take far too much from you if you are not yet prepared to receive them. That is why pain stops you. It forces you to wait, crushes your impatience, breaks down the ego, slows your pace, and redirects you inward. Pain teaches you to search for answers that cannot be found out in the world, but only deep within your own soul. This process is far from easy, because such confrontation takes time, yet when it is complete, your former life feels as though it belonged to someone else entirely. One day you look back and realize that what caused you the most growth was exactly what hurt you the most. The person who betrayed you taught you self-worth. The person who abandoned you forced you to face loneliness. Failure stripped you of arrogance. Everything happened exactly as it was meant to. And once you have passed through the pain, you shed your old self and become someone more real. A human being's true transformation begins at the point where they are broken, because it is through those cracks that light can finally pour in. When you are broken open, you start looking inward, encountering aspects of yourself you have previously ignored, your fears, your loneliness, your suppressed desires, and this confrontation liberates you. You no longer carry a false persona. You no longer need to appear strong, because now you are strong. That strength does not come from triumphing over others, but from finally knowing yourself. You begin to understand why life placed you in that storm. Without it, you would never have discovered the sky inside you. Pain shapes you into who you are meant to be. And that is why the universe brings you the crisis precisely when you are ready to realize that growth can only happen through pain. because now, at last, you are ready to walk through that initiation. Everything in life vibrates at a frequency, like a radio station, and you can only hear the transmissions your soul has already tuned itself to receive. According to Carl Jung, there is a powerful but invisible connection between a person's inner world and their outer reality, a force he understood as resonance. Whatever lives within you is what you inevitably draw towards you if you hold fear. Life speaks to you through fearful circumstances. If you live in anxiety, experiences will appear that amplify your anxiety. And if you vibrate with love, love will find its way to your doorstep. That is why life does not unfold in chaos, but in a subtle and perfect order the universe sends. You only what you are ready for, because you can only truly perceive and understand what matches your current frequency. This is not coincidence. It is a spiritual law of attraction. Readiness may come in the form of a person, an opportunity, a loss, or a new beginning, because resonance brings not only beautiful experiences, but also difficult challenges designed to transform you. Resonance does not respond only to what you want, but to what you need at the level of the soul. What you consciously desire does not always match what your soul is secretly asking for. That is why, at times, events we claim we didn't want are in fact manifestations of an inner alignment, because the soul carries deeper wisdom than logic alone. It knows that something must leave before something new can arrive, and that true happiness sometimes first requires the release of pain. Resonance is therefore also a test of honesty. If you do not know who you truly are, you cannot understand what you are truly ready for, as Jung famously said. He who does not look within does not understand without. Until you accept your own inner darkness, suppressed fears, avoided truths, life will continue to bring you mirrors you are afraid to look into, perhaps the people who leave you. Reflect how you have abandoned yourself and those who disrespect you. Reveal the value you place upon yourself. Resonance is not only attraction, but reflection, and whatever your frequency is, those you meet will match it. Although this can seem brutal, it is actually the purest justice of the universe. It faithfully mirrors your energy back to you. The deeper your connection to yourself, the clearer your field of resonance becomes. You no longer make random choices, nor do you feel lonely even when alone, because your connection to the external world has become aligned with your internal center. This is the power of resonance. Silent, unseen, yet constantly shifting direction as your soul evolves, a force that, once awakened, no longer blames what lies outside, but understands that everything begins within. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what am I being taught? For resonance consciousness puts an end to the victim mindset. Now everything that happens in your life carries a message. Even what once made you cry came only to grow you. Control gives way to trust. You no longer try to force things through sheer will, because you understand when you are ready, it will happen. What you are not yet ready for will only exhaust you, drain you, and break you. So perhaps it isn't that you want too little, but that your resonance has not yet risen to meet what you want. The soul only calls towards something when you are strong enough to face it, and that call is quiet but persistent. Life is not fighting you. It is resonating with you. That's why. Change transforms not just your circumstances, but also your frequency. You no longer feel like a victim, but a creator. Life no longer happens to you, it happens with you. You become what you call yourself. If you are love, you attract love. If you are peace, you magnetize peace. If you live as darkness, you inevitably invite darkness. Everything starts and ends with you. Resonance isn't magic outside of you. It's an awakening inside, and this awakening makes you both free and strong. As Jung said, when you change, everything changes, because when your vibration changes, your reality changes. Life sometimes confronts you with what you fear most, perhaps loneliness you've avoided since childhood, the possibility of failure, the terror of being truly Seen and still unloved, these fears run so deep you often don't realize how they silently dictate your choices, your relationships, even your dreams. Jung believed no real growth is possible without facing those fears. Because transformation hides inside the heart of what terrifies us. What you run from chains you. What you confront frees you. Escaping fear often feels like survival, so you hide in crowds, cling to jobs that feel safe, hold on to relationships that no longer belong to you, just so you won't be abandoned. But every escape builds collapse inside. Eventually, the universe forces you against a wall. With nowhere left to hide, that is where the true journey begins, not toward the light first, but into the darkness, because the light of the soul can only appear once it has confronted its shadow. Jung's shadow emerges only when you are truly ready. Facing your fears doesn't mean conquering them, but understanding them, for fear is not the enemy but a guide. Every fear is the voice of a suppressed part of your being. Perhaps beneath your fear of failure lives the child who was once unseen. Or beneath your fear of abandonment is an incomplete goodbye from years ago. Fears are echoes of pain locked in time, and when you approach them not as enemies but as messages, they begin to dissolve. That is why Jung said, whatever disturbs you is an opportunity to know yourself. As long as fears disturb you, the call to grow continues, because the universe tests you not just when you are ready, but also to help make you ready. Confronting fear is the most honest path there is. There are no masks, no social filters, no manufactured success stories. Only you and your naked truth. You don't pretend to be strong because you are learning to accept your weakness, and strangely, that is precisely when you become strong. Real strength isn't fearlessness. It is the courage to stay present inside fear, to be alone, to tolerate uncertainty, to keep going despite the possibility of loss. These slow steps turn you into an inner leader. The chaos of the outer world no longer shakes you. Because you have learned to listen to the storms within, a person can only truly reach themselves by passing through their fears. For that wall of fear is actually just a shell protecting you from your own deeper potential, but after a point, that shell no longer carries you, it traps you. The potential inside begins to push from within, and the soul breaks its own shell. That rupture may be sudden or slow, but always painful. Because your familiar worlds fall apart and every safety zone disappears, yet this is when you take your first sacred step into the unknown, the step that leads straight into the depths of the soul. Finally, the question is answered, who am I without my fears? And once you break free from those fears, all the old stories that kept you small begin to dissolve. You are no longer a victim, but a creator, and ultimately, you understand. Fear was never your enemy, it was your teacher, sent so you could grow. The more you suppressed your fear, the stronger it became. But when you finally turned to face it, you saw that it too was afraid of you, because that fear represented your most vulnerable state. And when you looked at it with compassion rather than judgment, healing began. You stopped trying to control yourself and instead learned to guide the fear. As Jung said, if you wish to make yourself whole, you must first accept your parts, and fear is one of the most precious of those parts. For any path walked without confronting fear is incomplete, and there is no real freedom without passing through the shadow of that fear. On this journey of life, you will sometimes encounter a person unexpectedly, someone you later call a teacher. They become a wise guide, a mirror for your inner awakening. Yet these encounters are never random. The universe does not send a teacher until the soul is ready to meet and understand the lesson. As Jung emphasized, true learning begins only when the student is ready. These teachers come to reveal difficult truths or teach with quiet love. They are instruments chosen by the universe to transform you, but you must choose to walk through the door they present. A true teacher doesn't simply give information. They reflect the parts of you that you do not yet see, sometimes with gentle touch, and sometimes with a shocking light, illuminating the hidden shadows of your being. Their presence awakens dormant aspects of your soul, and without that awakening, real change cannot happen. This is not an easy process, because the teacher pulls you out of your comfort and invites you into the unknown. You may resist, doubt, or deny it, but eventually you realize the teacher's arrival is your greatest gift, because with them your inner teacher begins to awaken. When you are truly ready, teachers appear not only as external guides, but as inner voices of wisdom. Sometimes the universe guides you through humans, and sometimes through intuition that rises from within. As Jung said, what is outside is also inside. So often the teacher you meet externally is simply your own wisdom emerging, that inner teacher whispers in difficult moments, calling you toward rebirth. When you are ready, those inner voices grow clear, hesitation fades, and your soul chooses its path. The power of a teacher lies not in imparting knowledge, but in awakening your own consciousness. There is a right time to meet each guide. Too early, and the lesson cannot be absorbed. Too late, and the opportunity is missed. But the universe balances this perfectly. Until you are ready, the teacher remains invisible, because your subconscious refuses the lesson. Yet as your soul matures, the teacher is revealed on your path before you even realize it. What matters is not the form of the teacher, but the timing. For when you are ready, even the hardest lesson becomes manageable, lighting your way like a lamp in the dark. Once the teacher arrives, your task is to surrender, letting go of control and trusting the guidance. This surrender is not weakness, but tremendous courage, for resisting the flow of the universe brings only pain and struggle. The true teacher accepts you as you are, and as you accept the teacher, transformation begins within. You must be patient with this process. Sometimes progress is invisible, sometimes the trials intensify, but know that every step leads you toward deeper freedom. A real teacher is not only informative, but compassionate, accompanying you without judgment. Life itself is a school of teachers. Every experience, every person is a guide, but the true teacher can be recognized only when your soul is ready. That recognition is awakening. It means reconciliation with life and becoming one with your own self. As Carl Jung once said, to find yourself is to find peace. When you are truly ready, the teacher appears, because only then are you mature enough to carry your own light. At that moment, life no longer merely teaches you lessons. It begins to offer you wonders. The one who is ready always ends up victorious, for life cannot complete its cycle until your soul is prepared. The great transformation you long for, the meaning you seek, the true peace you crave, none of this can arrive until you open the door from within. As Jung reminded us, the universe waits for the moment you are ready, because only then can it carry you and bring you its deepest lessons. Preparation is not surface level. It is a state of harmony felt in the deepest layers of your soul, between the conscious and the unconscious. Until you accept yourself inwardly and make peace with your fears, a new chapter cannot begin. But when that chapter opens, everything is reborn. As if you are reborn, being ready is not a destination. It is a journey. On that journey you fall and rise, get lost and find yourself. But most importantly, the old you must die, so that the new you may be born. That death may be symbolic or profound. Your old habits, beliefs, and chains dissolve. And in that moment, life takes on a new color. Details you once ignored become visible. Past burdens feel lighter, and the heart beats more freely. This reset is often quiet and unseen by others, but deep inside you, there is a new calling. Many people dream of radical change, but these changes never arrive because they are not ready. The law of the universe is clear. If you are not ready, the opportunities and lessons offered to you will disturb you, but not change you, because the soul ripens only in its own time. That readiness is a power born of patience and wisdom. To be compassionate toward yourself is not to rush, because when you are ready, change may not be painless, but it will be meaningful. The difficulties you endure during preparation are not roadblocks, they are training, they strengthen you and illuminate your path. When you are ready, even the smallest miracles take on significance. A smile, a coincidence, a word you once would have missed suddenly guides you. Because your eyes are open and your heart has expanded, you begin to see not only the outer world, but also your inner one. And life becomes sweeter, richer, more sacred. Your relationships change, your connection with yourself deepens, everything aligns with the frequency inside you. When life starts anew, you no longer carry the weight of the past. You forgive, release, and set yourself free, and that freedom comes not from superficial change, but from deep peace, because now you understand that whatever life offers, no matter how difficult or beautiful, is part of your becoming. This acceptance gives you strength, gives you the courage to stand again, and most importantly, it gives you unshakable faith in yourself. In this new beginning, your life flows not from outer conditions, but from inner power. Sometimes beginning again doesn't mean taking great leaps. It simply means choosing to exist, to breathe, to make peace with yourself. That small, sacred decision becomes the foundation for all great transformations, because when you permit yourself, the universe also grants you permission. As Jung said, "He who makes peace with his own shadow embraces the world." Then you are ready to experience life in all its colors. Each moment, each experience opens a new door. The truth is, beginning again is an endless cycle. Every day is a chance to be reborn. Always remember, life never forces you, it waits for you to be ready, and when you are truly ready, all the doors swing wide open. Behind them lie beauties you have only dared to dream, because to be ready means to integrate with life, to reach your own essence. If something in this video touched you, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like. Your comments mean the world to us. Share the most important insights you gained from this video. Your experience may inspire us and others on this journey. Which parts spoke to your soul the most?